Welcome to the Business Spotlight Series. I'm Rick Plaska, certified business coach and local leadership coach here in Columbus, Ohio. Today, as my guest, I've got Theresa Mason. She is the CEO of American Share Insurance, and I think that you're going to really enjoy our conversation today. What we're looking at is we're going to have a little talk about business challenges, best practices, and share a peek into what it's really like to build and operate a business. If this is your first time on the channel, please hit the like and subscribe button. You know what happens when you do those, and you get more of this great content. Theresa, welcome, and thank you so much for being here today.
Well, thanks, Rick. I appreciate the opportunity to talk to you and all your listeners and to talk a little bit about business.
Super, super. Hey, listen, you and I have the advantage over our listeners of having a conversation before this, but help fill in the blanks here. Tell us a little bit about yourself and about the business. I think you're in a very unique market, and yet I think that many of the things that you deal with on a daily basis in the market transfer into many other markets. So if you would just give us a little bit of your background and a little bit about the business.
Sure will. I've been a CPA for over 35 years now and just have really enjoyed business and working with business individuals. So being in insurance for the last almost 20 years now has really given me the opportunity to meet and interact with all kinds of different people and different businesses, different sizes, and the challenges that they have and how I can, as a leader, help them solve their everyday challenges. So I think in every walkway of life, there's that opportunity. At American Share Insurance, we're kind of in a niche. We are the last company of our kind in the United States. We are a guarantee share fund. So when you think about going to the bank and your account is FDIC insured, for credit unions, there's a different sector of the government called the NCUA, and they provide your deposit insurance for your first $250,000. And American Share Insurance does the exact same thing. They just do it on a private basis. So in 10 different states, we have the opportunity to provide choice to credit unions to choose privately insure those deposits. And then to aid credit unions in general across the United States, we also provide excess insurance. So we provide that insurance above 250,000, and we do that in 37 different states. But it really is an insurance business and insurance product. What we like about it is helping fit the needs of credit unions. And for us, that's about helping their members solve their everyday problems and give them some peace of mind about how their deposit funds are insured and to provide them different opportunities within their credit unions.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Theresa. Hey, tell us a little bit about what is your current role in the business?
Certainly. So I'm the president and CEO, all things flow uphill. Um, but really, my role is really one for advocacy. We're a highly regulated industry. We ourselves are, have regulation multiple ways through the state of Ohio, through the Department of Insurance and the Department of Commerce. We also have federal regulations that we're required to comply with. So a lot of my role is twofold. One is that advocacy and understanding all the different regulations that we're under and how that impacts all of our member credit unions, because ASI is a cooperative. We're owned by the members who are part of our fund. And then secondarily is really spreading the word about private deposit insurance and what role it can play within a credit union, how it can help a credit union increase its liquidity and provide a different choice to its members. So I actually spend quite a bit of time traveling on the road, meeting with different credit union members, and then also in DC and in the state of Ohio and the other states that we're regulated under, just having them understand us and how we interact with all these different groups.
Wow, that's a wide range of responsibilities there. If you look at your role, how would you break it down percentage wise of percentage of time that you advocate for your business versus the amount of time that you spent planning and building strategy for the future versus the day-to-day operations?
So it's probably about 50-50. I travel about 50% of the year in that advocacy and meeting with the different credit unions. And the other half of the year really is about looking towards the future. I mean, I chuckle with my team because I'll come back from a trip and I'll have five different ideas. And we're trying to figure out how do we continue to meet the needs, or is there a new need that I think from an insurance standpoint that we can help credit unions meet? So I'll come back from a road trip with a lot of fresh ideas. And, as a team, we continue to look and say, you know, what things are we trying to accomplish and what do we have the best opportunity of bringing that to our customer base? So it's about 50-50. I have a wonderful team and they make sure that, operations continue on from day to day so that I can really focus on thinking about things for the future and then working with them on how do we bring those to fruition.
Super. Now, listen, you were talking, you mentioned team,
Mhm.
and clearly you can't do this alone as the
No.
CEO. So when you think of the future of your business, you shared the changing dynamics. Um, how do you feel about building the great team and getting them to buy into the passion that you have for that niche market?
It's pretty interesting because we have some really seasoned folks. My CEO has been on with us for over 25 years and he really grew through the business and really understands all that nuance of the risk that comes with insuring anything, quite frankly, in an insurance company. Um, we also have some newer folks as well, bringing different ideas to play. And I think it's that marrying of new ideas and understanding the nuts and bolts of the business and how then those two things come together. I think it energizes those who've been in the organization for a long time. And I think those who come in new really come to appreciate some of the challenges we have and how to innovatively, you know, bring what they have from their backgrounds into solving some of those problems. So I really think it's a nice blend of, respectful interaction and new people learning from the people who've been there and seasoned, and then the seasoned people really listening about different things that newer people have seen in their organizations. And I love that energy of people really sitting around the table and contributing. Um, from a leadership perspective, if I see someone who's maybe not engaging a little more, it's my job to, what's your perspective? What are you seeing? Because I think everybody has a voice at that table and every voice around the table is important.
I love that answer, and I want to dive just a little deeper. How would you describe your leadership style?
I describe myself as very collaborative. Um, as I mentioned, I like people who contribute. I mean, as a finance professional sitting in leadership roles over the years, um, I found myself contributing in a marketing conversation, and I would have some fun, interesting people would say, "Are you sure you're not a marketer?" And I think that's where there's value. I mean, maybe it's not your traditional role. I have an IT person sitting around the table. They have huge value and huge insight to bring to it, whether it is from their perspective of their strength or just from a person listening to the conversation around the table. So I think that's where it's really important. I really seek out people to provide the perspective. I really seek out, let's think about the answers. Or even if you think you know the answer, I'll hold mine back and wait for the team to really bring it out there because I think it's so much more important for them to be able to build those skills, right? That's my job to help them feel safe and comfortable in expressing their ideas because that's where the best ideas come from. And I don't want to hinder them. Again, I usually have an answer or a thought in my mind, but my goal collaboratively is to get them interacting and bringing those ideas out. And nothing makes me happier or brings a smile on my face when they get to that idea and I didn't even contribute to the conversation. So it's important that again, I create a safe space that they can share ideas. And the more off the wall or the more that the team is interacting, that I know they're going down a really good road. It may not be something we put the dollars into executing, but you can put it away for a rainy day and know that the group really came up with that is very empowering for them and satisfying to me as a leader.
So in that process that you've identified, Theresa, number one is, do you have many junior leaders that you're developing in your team? And number two is there a purposeful focus on developing their management and leadership abilities and styles themselves?
Absolutely. We talk about succession planning, and I answer that question a little bit maybe differently in that, yes, succession planning is about, do you have the next person who would step in the case of an emergency? But how I actually answer that is, are we developing and building those on down to think about what strengths they have in potentially filling a role in the future. What things do we do as not only myself, but the rest of the team into providing for them to build those skills? What things are they spending most of their time on? And how do we create more time for them to work on some of the other things? I had mentioned my COO, and we work on succession plan, and he had one available, and he actually very creatively split the job into two to give, two people on his staff who had really different perspectives and opportunity to build the other side. He's going to cross them over, and then they really work with them on what skills do they need to develop. And that really happens across the organization. In every area, we are really focused on who are the people in your group and how we help provide opportunities, um, full opportunities for all of them. So that is critical in what we do. And it's really, again, my job to make sure that we are doing that. Typically, January and February is kind of like that time of the year when we sit down with folks, but we really spent quite a bit of time last year on looking at the organization and how different people can continue to grow. And that's really our focus over the next couple years.
Super, super. That's an internal look at your team and the people to grow. If you were to look at outside of your company, is there a specific area of training that you'd want your entire organization to focus on? Maybe AI comes in as how that's going to be a big changer to lots of different industries, but it's outside of what they do. How do we
Mhm.
take that newness and maybe look at how does it apply inside of our business? If there was an area that you would be looking at in the next 6 months, what would that be?
It really is AI. So from our perspective, as we're an insurance company and we evaluate the risks of credit unions, we have to be mindful of not only how do we use AI, but how is a credit union using AI and what risk does it pose for the future? And being so new, it really is an opportunity. And it's actually on our strategic roadmap for this year for the risk team to really assess what new questions are they going to ask of the credit unions. How do they have to be trained to even know what are the right
Mhm.
questions to ask? And then even assessing those answers. And then how does that turn into risk? So, as ones who have to underwrite, weigh, and measure risk, how does AI come into play? And then overall, they really need to be keyed into all the different things that actually is happening in Washington, D.C. that impacts a financial institution. Interest rates going up, interest rates coming down. They do lending. So with an economy that's had some ups and downs, how does that impact them? So you may have audit examiners that we refer to them as who are doing day-to-day examinations on a credit union, but our challenge for us is to develop them to understand implications of things that haven't even happened yet. New regulations coming out of Washington. The CFPB just introduced a new one saying financial institutions couldn't charge an overdraft fee over $5. How does that impact a credit union? It didn't happen yesterday. And whether it happens tomorrow, is anybody's guess as well. But we have to be prepared from a risk standpoint, especially to think about what hasn't even happened yet, what's a glimmer in someone's eye, just like AI, and how does that impact or could potentially impact what is happening in a credit union that we are underwriting.
So, looking at all of those what if scenarios, that goes back to my background. And I was trained at West Point, military leadership, and transitioned all of that into corporate America and now, business ownership,
Hmm.
that critical thinking is a process that sometimes you need to look at both your internal resources and external resources to exercise. And I'll share with you and the audience as well, one of the greatest critical thinking, but real time and paying attention and being present training. You're not going to believe this, Theresa, but it was, I participated in a theatrical group. Um, oh, shoot, it's going right over the top of my head right now. It was even on TV, and I'm going to have to cut this out now because I cannot think of what I was talking about. Improv, that's what it was. We
Oh,
went to a whole improv workshop, and I came out of that, and it was incredible because it was a different way of thinking. And so yes, you had the same interaction with people. You were still doing the same words. You were both telling stories, but it was a completely different way of looking at that story. And I just felt like a new person. And here, this was an improv that I would have never even thought of as a group leadership type of development program. It was magical.
mm.
It was absolutely fabulous. So again, I'm asking, are you looking at, as the CEO, what are all the supportive resources that are out there that could expand the horizon of your people?
I do, and I think and that's where I talked about the balance of people who new or coming in who bring different types of perspectives and have had those different type of options. So, for example, uh, we have a change management person who's really about helping the organization evolve, and came from an organization where they were investing in people just being leaders. It wasn't about insurance and it wasn't about credit unions. It was just about people evolving, making
Mm-hmm.
decisions, making fast decisions or slow decisions or what things go into that. And how do their own who they are and how they've evolved in their career impact that? I think some of that self-awareness alone really helps people understand how they make decisions, why they make decisions, and also when to know when they're most at risk. I think as I went through some of those in my career, and I learned when I'm working really hard and I'm really traveling a lot and I'm more tired than usual, I have to know I have to put a decision aside because I'm just not in the right frame of mind. So I think those types of leadership training and helping people just understand themselves and their path so far puts everything else into perspective and it gives it a different, as you mentioned, in an improv situation, it puts you in a different frame of mind that you never thought of before and how it impacts the decisions you make. And I really like that a little bit out of the box learning and development for people. And they can take it anywhere. It's usually not specific to an industry. It's just really specific to them and how they make decisions and how to help them be a better decision maker, how to maybe stop and listen more. All those things really play into how does a staff member grow into a leader who grows into, a stalwart of the organization. And I think those things are really important to help people. You know, I have about half my staff are auditors. Um, they're always going to go to training and understand financial statements and ratios and all that kind of good stuff. I think where we really lean into is to help them learn and assess and talk to people and understand what's going on with people, empathy, asking the right questions, and being just stronger leaders today, which sets them up for tomorrow. And I think those are invaluable type of things to lean into, regardless of the industry that you work in.
Wow. Yes. Theresa, you are covering all of it with a future vision. And I love what you're sharing with us today. Listen, we've certainly covered a lot of ground in our conversation. For those of you that are watching, I highly recommend that you save this. Theresa's got a lot of nuggets of information that she's shared with us today, and go back and review those again and again. So before we get to the wrap up here, I want to enter just a section I call a rapid fire. This is where I just want the top of your mind. No, there's no right, there's no wrong, there's no good, there's no bad. These are a series of rapid fire questions. You ready, Theresa?
I'm ready.
Awesome. What would you say is the key to success for you?
Listening, listening to people, and before I have an answer or a preconceived notion, it's listening and asking questions.
Awesome. What would you give as one piece of advice to another business owner that may resonate with what you've shared with us today?
I think it takes a village, no matter what we're trying to do, whether it's your team or you're networking outside of your business or some of those prized folks you've worked with over the years. I, it's not necessarily network, but to reaching out to some of even those very particular individuals over those times where you can just run something by them. They're not involved in your day to day, so you can really just reach out to them with thoughts, and that they're going to give you really what's on their mind are invaluable to your success.
Awesome. Thank you. What's a book that you're reading right now that is fascinating to you?
Book I'm reading right now is fascinating to me. Well, I finished one over the holidays, but it's not quite. It was a little bit on the fun side, by Nora Roberts. I couldn't put it down, and it was nice to read something that I was gonna pick up, read, blow through, and put back down. So I enjoyed that. My daughter got it for me for Christmas, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. It's a three-part series that the third part doesn't come out to November. So I'm on chomping on the bit, but it actually was nice to read something a little off the beaten path. We exchanged this with other folks around the table the other day, and someone read one on nuclear proliferation. And I have to say, I went the fun route this last holiday season and just took a break and enjoyed that.
Super. That brings out a point that I try to share with all of my clients is adult recess is absolutely priceless. Okay. You've got to give yourself that ability to just step away, refresh, and come back in. It's great for kids. Why do we as adults say, yeah, no, I don't have time for that? Adult recess and at least a mental recess like that, fabulous.
So that's what I
Last
did, Rick,
question
and I
on the
enjoyed
rapid
it.
fire. Well, good, good, good. Hey, last question on the rapid fire. If you had one area in your business to choose, just one area that you could immediately improve, a magic wand, and tomorrow morning it's better, what would that one area be?
I think it's capacity. We have a lot of great ideas and a lot of things that I think we can bring to fruition. And I think it's about capacity. We only have so many people, and you have to make choices. We have more projects than we have of people to bring them to fruition. So if I could wave my wand, it would be capacity.
Awesome. Awesome. So, hey, listen, Theresa, we've asked a lot of things. And before I ask the final question of you today, how do people get in touch with you if they want to become your next customer? They own a credit union, or they just want to connect with you because you resonated with them. How would they best connect with you?
Sure. AmericanShareInsurance.com is where you find us. You can find me and the leadership team there as well, and reach out to any and all of us about asking questions about private deposit insurance or excess insurance, which is really great for liquidity in the financial institutions.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Theresa. So here's the last question. What is most inspiring to you today?
Um, I'm most inspired by people's resiliency. A lot of things go on every day. The pace of change has been so quick, and for people to be able to adapt and keep up and respond to it is amazing. So whether we see it around the country and so much going on, I think it's that resiliency of spirit and mind that's amazing to see.
Awesome. Great, great, great answer. Hey, Theresa, thank you so much for joining us today and sharing your journey. I Audience, if you don't hit the save button on this, you've missed a whole lot of great nuggets. And audience, thanks to you for watching and sticking with us today. We're here to inspire you by doing these interviews. And, folks, if there's anything here that you care to review again, get in touch with Theresa, get in touch with me. But other than that, hey, have a great day and bye for now.
Thanks, Rick.